honoring MMIWG families with a National Memorial Valentine's Day walk.
There will be lots of time to bicker and batter as we love to do, but right now I think my focus is Canada.
A new organization is calling on Canadians to unite against ongoing U.S. threats.
We are having a Louis Riel Day celebration.
And celebrating the life of Louis Riel in Manitoba. Tanse, good evening. I'm Chris Sinachkate. Welcome to APTN National News. Thank you for joining us. We begin with the 34th annual Missing and Murdered Indigenous Women and Girls March that took place in the streets of Vancouver. Many of the areas in and around Vancouver were places where family members found their murdered or disappeared loved ones. APTN's Tina House joins us now from the event that saw a crowd of up to 15,000 people in attendance.
We're here on Vancouver's downtown east side on the 34th annual March for Murdered and Missing Indigenous Women and Girls. Joining me today is MLA of Vancouver Strathcona, Joan Phillip. Nice to see you.
How do you do?
And Grand Chief Stuart Phillip of the Union BC Indian Chiefs. Nice to see you.
Yes, thank you.
How many years have you been coming down to this march now, Joan?
Ooh, let's see, probably 10 years. Longer.
Grand Chief?
About 25 years.
Grand Chief, what do you want to say about this crisis that still continues to plague every Indigenous community across this country?
It's an appalling disgrace that reflects badly on many governments throughout the entire world. It's rooted in racism, misogynistic notions of women, and it's incredibly debilitating to all of our societies. And there's a very brutal and tragic dimension to all of this. We've lost so many Indigenous women and girls, and men and boys also, as a consequence of racialized violence, hate, and unfortunately the world is moving in that direction very quickly. And this day is, on the one hand, it's a very powerful day. It brings families of missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls together. We hold each other up, we share stories. It's a reminder to society at large that this is an outstanding issue, and we will not take a step backwards. We will continue to press governments to be fully accountable, to police agencies to be fully accountable, and it's because we have such a deep love for our grandchildren and our great-grandchildren, and we don't want to see them in those terrible circumstances. So we're here for the long haul. It's good to see a lot of people that, we see at least once a year here, and we energize each other. So on the one hand, it's powerful, it's an uplifting experience, but it's rooted in horrible brutality of colonization, neo-colonization.
Absolutely. Joan, now as an MLA, now this is your second term as an MLA here in BC. What is the BC government doing to combat MMIWG cases?
Well, something, in spite of the fact that we're one of the few jurisdictions across the country that have adopted the United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous People. We've got an action plan, but we know much more needs to get done.
Indeed, much more needs to get done, and certainly the crowd here behind us is evident that cases are still right on the forefront of everybody's minds. There's still so many cases of unsolved cases of murdered, missing Indigenous women and girls across this country. Thank you for joining us today. Thank you for your time.
Okay.
Nice to see you as always, Grand Chief. Thank you so much. And back to you in studio.
Thank you, Tina. Valentine's Day is also a day for Indigenous communities to honor their missing and murdered members. There are memorial walks happening right across Canada. Now, a major Canadian business has announced they are putting millions of dollars into an endowment fund for families directly impacted by the issue. APTN's TR Wheatley has more.
Due to the lack of funds and support from
Jerry Pangman shares her family's personal story in a crowded rotunda at the Manitoba legislature. Her sister Jennifer McPherson was murdered in 2013 in Hanson Island, British Columbia.
Our sister's remains were cremated in BC and then sent back home to Winnipeg through Canada Post in the coldest and most inhumane way. My mother had to pick up her daughter's remains with a notification slip.
And they are not alone. Many families of missing and murdered Indigenous women, girls, and Two-Spirit have had similar stories for decades in Manitoba. It's why the province created an endowment fund where individuals, businesses, and the private sector can now contribute directly to supporting families during their time of need. Minister of Families, Women and Gender Equity, Nahani Fontaine, says it's also a chance for the public to respond to the Truth and Reconciliation Report and the report from the National Inquiry into MMIWG.
So, for the calls to action and the calls to justice, it is all of our responsibility. And this is one way, a really tangible way that Manitobans can contribute to that pathway.
The fund started in May 2024 with a $15 million commitment from Manitoba. Now this year on Valentine's Day, there is news of an additional $10 million for the fund, courtesy of the Shoppers Drug Mart Foundation for Women's Health. Its president, Jeff Legere, said this cause fits right in line with their mandate.
Well, I think this is a demonstration that our organization cares and is committed to helping along with reconciliation and committing funds actually to help change the dialogue and also help communities and families recover from this tragedy.
The endowment fund is part of Manitoba's strategy called Mino Eewag Egwewag, or All Women Doing Well, which aims to help vulnerable women, families, and communities. TR Wheatley, APTN National News, Winnipeg.
Thank you, TR. We now go to northern Ontario, where cold temperatures and fresh snow did little to chill the spirits of those gathered in front of the courthouse in Sault Ste. Marie to commemorate missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls. An eagle soared overhead in downtown Sault Ste. Marie as the crowd converged on the front yard of the courthouse. As in previous years, the city officially proclaimed February 14th as a day to remember missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls. Ahead of today's march, guest speakers shared their experiences and thoughts and the ongoing work to find their loved ones.
I am a survivor. I have two family members missing, one from 1998 and one from 1995. You came here today as strangers, and I appease you to look at someone next to you, left or right. You have no idea that could very well be one of those are struggling with the same hurt feelings.
For every level of government, please stop developing programs from behind a desk. Start including the voices of those who are at the front lines, in addition to the voices of the families and of the survivors. Nothing about us without us.
I stand here today to share that there are good men that stand with our women, stand behind you. We respect you, we love you, and we're also going to do our part to protect you.
Among other demands, those in attendance are calling for equitable funding for culture-based violence prevention programs that meet the needs of Indigenous people. We're always looking for your feedback or story ideas. Here's how you can continue the conversation with us. If you have a story you want to share, send us an email to news@aptn.ca. To read and watch our stories, go to aptnnews.ca. You can also find us online on your favorite social media sites, including TikTok, LinkedIn, and X. And you can watch this newscast anywhere, anytime on YouTube. Follow APTN News to join the conversation and see our latest stories. The National Advisory Committee on Residential Schools, Missing Children, and Unmarked Burials says the federal government has made the decision to discontinue its funding For the past 3 years, the committee has been identifying, locating, and commemorating missing Indigenous children who were forced to attend Canada's residential schools. The funding agreement will end on March 31st, and the committee's request for continued funding was denied. In a statement from the committee, they say they are extremely disappointed and are urging the federal government to reconsider. The committee has been providing expert advice, guidance, and support for First Nation, Inuit, and Métis communities as they search for missing and disappeared children and locating unmarked burial sites in relation to the residential school system. The committee is led by residential school survivors. They brought together experts in forensics, health, archaeology, archives, and police to aid in their work. In a statement, Kona Williams with the National Advisory Committee said, "We urge the federal government to reconsider this decision, which we believe to be a giant step backwards on the path of reconciliation." As the daughter of a residential school survivor and elder who contributed to the TRC, this is also deeply personal. APTN News will continue to follow this story. This Saturday will mark the 60th anniversary of the Canadian maple leaf flag. In conjunction with that day, a group of politicians and activists held a press conference in Ottawa this week, calling on all Canadians to unite against U.S. President Donald Trump's threats to make Canada the 51st state. It's part of an organization called Pledge for Canada, which was formed just 2 weeks ago. A press release says the organization has so far garnered 61,000 signatures, with many supporting the cause. Veteran NDP MP Charlie Angus is part of the Pledge for Canada. He was asked if his party would vote to defeat the Liberal government when Parliament returns.
So my simple position as a member of Parliament is to encourage all parliamentarians to say, let's go back to Parliament. Let's see if we can put a plan in place to get Canada through this period. There'll be lots of time to bicker and batter, as we love to do. But right now, I think my focus is Canada.
Canada's 3 northern premiers say it's a critical time for the North as the country faces rising political tensions and tariff threats with the United States. Northern premiers Ranj Pillai, R.J. Simpson, and P.J. Akiaguk participated in a panel hosted by the Canada Institute and the Polar Institute in Washington, D.C. on Thursday. Much of the discussion focused on opportunities for Arctic collaboration between northern Canada and the U.S. The premiers said Canada's north is unique because of its large landmass, abundance of critical minerals, and strategic location in matters of Arctic security. They also said there needs to be more investments in the north from Canada and the U.S. so the true potential of the region can be fully unlocked.
We're happy the rest of North America is now also talking about this, because we've been talking about infrastructure, critical minerals, Arctic security for many years, and the rest of the world has finally caught up given what has happened. Hopefully not too little too late. Hopefully it's right on time, and we can move forward together.
All 13 of Canada's premiers traveled to Washington on Wednesday in an effort to thwart President Trump from imposing tariffs on Canadian goods. RCMP have arrested a number of people following a concerning Discord chat group. That story when we come back. Stay with us. Welcome back. Saskatchewan's Internet Child Exploitation Unit, or ICE, is investigating a series of disturbing images on the chat-based internet application Discord. According to authorities, a chat room on Discord has targeted Indigenous communities and shared intimate photos of women without their consent. APTN's Rachel May brings us more details.
The Discord chat rooms dedicated to sharing intimate images had victims from Beauval, Black Lake, Buffalo Narrows, Canoe Lake, Duck Lake, Isle Lacrosse, La Loche, La Ronge, Meadow Lake, North Battleford, and Pachunak. Tia Wood is a well-known singer from the Saddle Lake Cree Nation in Alberta. Someone doctored several images of her to appear nude and uploaded them without her consent. The Saskatoon Police Service ICE unit is part of a national coalition of police units dedicated to investigating sexual exploitation. They say none of the victims are under 18, and the chat rooms that shared the explicit images have been removed. SPS urges anyone whose photos are shared without consent to contact local police. Rachel May, APTN National News, Saskatoon.
According to a number of health agencies, First Nations in northern Saskatchewan are seeing a jump in strep pneumonia cases, and at least one death may be linked to the disease. The health agencies are not declaring an outbreak, but they note there was 49 infections in 2024, a 53% increase in strep pneumonia cases in First Nations in Saskatchewan over the previous year. The ages of people infected with the disease has also increased in range from the previous 22 to 71 years of age in 2023 to 1 in 84 years old in 2024. A health expert tells APTN News that they are seeing an increase of the disease in patients who share drugs through smoking devices like pipes. Symptoms of the disease include fever, chills, cough, and difficulty breathing. Doctors recommend that if you do have symptoms, seek medical help immediately and practice good hygiene like hand washing and wearing a face mask. You can read more about that story by going over to our website at www.aptnnews.ca. Louis Riel Day celebrations are already kicking off this week. We'll take you to one event when we come back. Welcome back. Time now for our photo of the day. Betty Spence contemplates her 107th year from home in Winnipeg. Betty is an Alpasquiat Cree Nation member originally from the Little Red Reserve in Saskatchewan. She survived her childhood in hospital with TB and the Brandon Indian Residential School. She later got her Bachelor of Fine Arts from the University of Manitoba in 1979. Thank you to our Bruce Spence for sending in that picture. A big happy belated birthday from all of us, Betty. Send us your photos to share at aptn.ca for the chance to be our next photo of the day. Now let's take a look at tomorrow's weather forecast. Starting on the east, St. John's -6, Charlottetown -8. Nain -1, the Grand River -23. Saguenay -15, Gaspé -7. Ottawa -9, North Bay -5. Big Trout Lake -21, Sioux Lookout Sun and -17. Churchill -25, partly cloudy in Thompson at -23. Sun in Princess Harbor at -23, Gimli -22. Swift Current -21, Regina -22. Stony Rapids -24, Buffalo Narrows -25. Sunny and high level at -23, Fort McMurray -23. Red Deer -18, Calgary -17. 6 in Tofino, Campbell River 4. -20 in Fort Nelson, Dees Lake -15. -22 in Watson Lake, Mayo -17. -26 in Yellowknife, -22 in Norman Wells. Fort McPherson -26, Colville Lake -22. -35 in Baker Lake, Chesterfield -28. And Iqaluit -18, Aglulik -20. With the 2025 Invictus Games in full swing in BC, APTN's Tina House has been following and was recently joined by the 2024 Olympic silver medalist in rugby sevens, Shea Valenzuela, to speak more about the event that is taking place in Vancouver. Tina?
Thank you. We're here at the Invictus Games, and joining me today is somebody who knows a little bit about sports, Shea Valenzuela. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Tell me a little bit about yourself.
I'm Shea Valenzuela. I grew up in Abbotsford, BC. I'm from the Nulchinal tribe in Port Alberni. I'm the first Indigenous woman to win a silver medal for rugby sevens at the Paris 2024 Games.
Wow, congratulations. What was that moment like, getting that silver medal?
It was surreal. We worked so hard for the last 4 years to get there and had to overcome so many barriers to be there. So it was just surreal and just so grateful that I had the opportunity to go there and stand on the podium with my team.
And here you are cheering on Team Canada here at Invictus. What's it like to see all these incredible war vets from around the world participating in sport?
It's inspiring. They are heroes. The amount of resilience they show is inspiring to us, and we're just super grateful to be able to watch them in person and support other rugby athletes.
Okay, now rugby is a tough sport from what I've seen. How did you get into that?
I started with soccer and wrestling, and when I found rugby, I was like, this is the best of both worlds. So I fell in love, and I've been playing ever since.
Okay, take me to that moment when you're on the field with your teammates, the score is tight, and you want to win. Where do you go in your mind to get to that headset to get into win?
I think the biggest thing is I don't want to let down my teammates. I'm repping the jersey. I don't want to let down my country, and you just have so much pride and you have so much trust with your teammates on the field. So it just really motivates you to push hard and get in that dark place and don't give up, and you got to win.
And what's it like seeing all these war vets here doing their best on their healing journey?
Yeah, I think it's very, very similar resilience that you have to show in training every single day. And I think what they've gone through and the strength they've shown, I think it can inspire the entire world. And I think more people need to look at them and be in awe and how amazing, inspiring that they are. So.
And do you have some words of encouragement to Indigenous youth that are interested in getting into sport and to be at your level?
Yeah, I'd say, follow your passions. I mean, there's going to be barriers and there's going to be things you have to overcome to face it, but if you trust yourself and you back yourself throughout the process, you will get there. Be kind to yourself throughout that process because it is not a linear journey and you just have to back yourself and go for it.
Amazing. Yeah. Shalia, thank you for taking the time to join us. We're so proud of you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Back to you in studio.
Thank you, Tina. The third Monday in February is a holiday in Manitoba, which is known as Louis Riel Day, which began back in 2008. The University of Manitoba hosted a celebration to help honor the Métis leader. It was to acknowledge the rich Métis heritage and history for students within the university. APTN's Tyler Shingoose has more on that.
The University of Manitoba celebrates their 10th year, acknowledging and honoring Louis Riel Day.
We are having a Louis Riel Day celebration. It's our 10th anniversary here at the University of Manitoba, and we are here to celebrate Métis history, culture, students, and to just have an awesome time with our community.
Louis Riel Day honors the Métis leader who was recognized for his leadership within Manitoba, having a pivotal role in defending Métis rights and land against the Canadian government. In 2024, Riel was officially recognized as the province's first premier. Support resource tables were in attendance where students were able to meet community resources such as the Louis Riel Institute. The celebration offered trivia games as well as live music, welcoming Lionel Desjardins and Jason Lepine to provide a chance for attendees to join in on dancing. Shelley's Indigenous Bistro provided food for those in attendance.
Louis Riel is rightfully called the father of Manitoba and definitely the most famous Métis leader in our history. So it's important to celebrate him, but also other Métis leaders, just to acknowledge our people and our history, but also him as the founder of Manitoba.
Tyler Shingoose, APTN National News, Winnipeg.
Thank you, Tyler. And that's your evening newscast for this Friday, February 14th. We're back again next Tuesday. Make sure to join us then. From all of us at APTN National News, hi miigwech masicho kwana. Thank you for watching and have a good and safe long weekend. Ekse.